Imagine a league built by the people, for the people. A league dedicated to the economic development of your city. So the question becomes, how good are the 32 teams that play in the minor football league? Well, there's only one way to find out. You have to experience the MFL.
Welcome to another edition of Inside the MFL. I'm your host, Dr. Richard D. Myles Sr., CEO, Chairman, and founder of the Minor Football League. I want to welcome everybody to our show today. It's kind of a bittersweet show today because our GM up in Philadelphia, Mr. Sean Wilson, our GM, really nice brother. You know, his funeral today, as everybody know, because I know all the MFL Nation is following that. And we put it on our live broadcast so people can have to see it. But, I hope that brother rests in peace, and all the condolences to his family, his wife, and his loved ones. And it was sad, but I just take with me, I had the pleasure of meeting this young man, a God-fearing man. I can always take that with me. And I have my guest on the day. I want to welcome Dr. Shyrell Hobson. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
All right. How you doing, Doc? Also, I want to welcome Keith Jones. Keith is one of the media people down here in the DMV area, well known. We still pulling on his shoulder to get him here with the MFL. People always try to give you a hard time, but Keith, I give him what I want. Also, I'm waiting for my other guests to come on. Will soon be coming on. But, let's dive into the show. Keith, I got this dynamic lady here, congratulations on your doctorate. I don't even want to, I could tell you about them thesis papers, so I don't want.
No need to talk about it. There's no need to talk about it.
There you go, and
about it.
I know it was, but congratulations from me and the MFL. Tell MFL Nation a little bit about yourself.
Okay, absolutely. So my name is Dr. Shyrell Hobson. Right now, I am a student-athlete resilience coach and an athletic program enthusiast. Had the pleasure of writing 2 books, Discovering Beauty in Brokenness and also Unleashing Your Full Potential. My doctorate is in sports administration and leadership. My study was on African-American males and the effects of athletics on their educational plans. And just been very, excited about what I'm doing. There's a difference between something that you're passionate about and something that is part of your purpose. And athletics is a part of my purpose in my life. And in making sure that I'm a huge impact in our community, in particular, especially our young Black males, and just making sure that they have the skills to be productive outside, inside and outside of athletics. And one thing that I take passion in, I'm very passionate about is I help coaches. I coach coaches on how to increase their matriculation by 90% within their program. And I believe that that's a huge deal. When I was a head coach for track and field, I used to always get called to boardrooms and all kind of things about, the kind of conversations I was having with my athletes and the kind of standards that I put on them and the expectations that I have for them. And so a lot of people didn't understand it. They would say, would you just, stick to coaching, stick to track, and stop talking about all these other things. And but I had a great someone who supported me, which was my head coach. My principal. He knew my intentions. He knew my purpose. So he knew that anything that I was doing was for the betterment of my athletes. And so he would always go to battle for me, which, it's hard to find leaders like that nowadays, that are willing to put their neck out there and say, hey, I know what she's doing is for the betterment of her athletes. And I always stuck with, if I can teach them about life, I can teach them about any sport. And so from there, I continued to win championships, and then went on to be an assistant football coach, doing wide receivers. So, I try to keep it simple as possible. Just catch the ball and run fast. And so because I had a track background, it really helped, me to get the athletes to understand when you're running the 40, it's not just about just running as fast as you can to the other side, but thinking about the little techniques that go behind what makes you better, what makes you faster, the difference between running a 4.5 and running a 4.4, or, or whatever. So I've had the pleasure of doing that. And so now I'm just excited about being a part of a profession where, women, especially Black women, are, not always taken as serious they should when it comes to football, and how it, what it takes to operate a football is more than just blowing a whistle, but what can I do to contribute to making sure that our professional football players, or just football players in general, are successful on and off the field. So that's something I'm, very passionate about, and it's my purpose in life. And I think about it night and day. And that's why I have bags under my eyes.
Well, I have to, I can understand a little bit. I myself ran track in high school. I ran the 440 AA relay, and I ran the 100-yard dash. And I used to high jump, believe it or not. You wouldn't think it now, but I was quite an athlete, and but I understand that. But more importantly, the fact that I don't know if you was aware, Doc, that I had the first women GM in professional football. A lot of people didn't know that. And as you had an opportunity to look at our stuff, we're going to send it to you. I believe in women being at the table, and not because they have a pretty face. I mean, the MFL, because we are the laboratory of change, as you can see. And I know before our reporter, Fran, asked you a lot of questions, when you had the opportunity to go and look at and do your research on the league, and you went to the website, I mean, what was your initial, just tell us, what was your initial thought? You were like, wait a minute.
Well, when it was first presented to me, I said, okay, well, let me look into it. Of course, I always look at any opportunity as a blessing. And so when I got a chance to look at everything and see what it was about, and I was like, well, wow, they have 32, teams, and wow, they have teams in Africa. It was just a lot of wow moments. And then immediately my coaching and my business brain started just, working on just making sure that, what's important to me is not just being a part of a league, but being a part of a league that is really stresses the importance of change. And so you talk about the laboratory of change. And so I began to start thinking about, what can I do within this organization that's going to help contribute to what the MFL wants to do? And what kind of things can I bring to the table that maybe, they haven't done yet, or maybe they just need that person to get it started, or whatever it is. So I just immediately started thinking about, what can I do to help contribute to the change within MFL? What can I do personally? What can I do professionally? And so I just thought that it was a good opportunity, because a lot of times, even when you think about your student athletes and you are coaching them, and you a lot of people start stressing about, getting to that big school. And I used to always tell my runners, the key is to get, wherever you need to get what you need to get, which is an education. So if you're a good athlete, you can be looked at University of Texas, just like you can be looked at some of the other junior colleges or smaller colleges, and where you are and within that program. And so that's what I look at when I look at the MFL is, it just opens up so many doors and opportunities for so many people, women, other coaches who maybe, didn't get an opportunity to coach at a junior college yet, or maybe they're in grad school. And that's one of the things that we really take pride in when we think about, just the vision that you have, Dr. Myles, but also what we can do to make sure that our program is, or part of the, organization under your umbrella, how can we make ours better? What can we do to stand out from the rest? We're just going to go out there and just blow the whistle and get some players to play and do, be out there for some entertainment. But I feel like, working with Mr. Wilson is a blessing because he has a winning mentality. And I have a winning mentality, and it's not just about, of course, we do want the championship ring, so we're going to put it out there. So we do want that, but we want to make sure that, we're winning at life, that we're winning as coaches, we're winning as professionals, and that we're providing opportunities to these athletes who are in the Philadelphia area who, may not get the same opportunity or chances as other people. Because we always say that everybody gets an opportunity, yes, but it's not presented the same. And so I just think that the MFL is really going to help us to give and be that resource to our athletes out there who may just need that second chance or may just need another look. And so I was just excited about what the MFL is doing and just being a part of it because of the mission that it has. Is bigger than just football. And that's something that I'm very passionate about. So I was immediately, hey, I was on board.
Chief?
Well, you don't need me, Doc. She had the floor. I just feel left out because there's a couple of letters missing off my name, so I need to go back to school or something. I hear they give you credit for experiences, which is something I have. So to that, but also, Doc, Myles, I commend you because you have this is actually the most intelligent, best-looking doctor that you've had on the show. And
What happened to me? I thought I was on that.
Well, I know you're a pretty man, but I mean, I'm sorry. There are different levels of pretty, and there you go. But that was serious there too. But in all other seriousness, the passion obviously comes through for you, Dr. Hobson, but also the understanding, and this is what's drawn me in for so long and developed my long-standing relationship with Myles. Is it's not about football; it's about the person, not the player. It's about the opportunity, not just being on the football field. So from that standpoint, it just makes a ton of sense. And even as we talk on this show, we talk about the 800-pound gorilla known as the NFL and other entities that are trying to start up and do things. So there's a reason why the MFL is the 25-year-plus old success story, because Myles knows the formula. He's done it right. It's not a startup. It's new to a lot of people. But when you come upon it, and like you did, you're a perfect example of that. That knowledge that you gained, and every time you learned a little bit more about the MFL, you're even more impressed, and on and on. And it's just, but it's this growth thing. Here, Myles has done it for 25 plus years, but he's looking for another 25 minimally to do it. We talk about the NFL being around for 100 years. They're still getting things wrong. And they're certainly not helping their players from the standpoint of these guys. And that's kind of the issue that I have with the NCAA. It's not that the players aren't compensated. It's that they're not developed. I mean, these guys are all about the money. But you know what? Your brand is only good for so long. And as Myles will tell you, the NFL stands for not for long, and the years keep diminishing. The Tom Brady's of the world. I didn't think I'd see another Darryl Green when I covered the team formerly known as the Washington Redskins for a number of years. Darryl was the guy with one team for 20 years, and then now now Brady's did it with the Patriots, and he's still playing. But that's an anomaly. That's not what happens really in the league. And these guys don't develop skills off the football field. They don't develop any sort of financial stability or knowledge of what to do with the money, the excessive amounts of money they get as a young man in a short period of time. And it really can be life destroying. And we've seen so many professional athletes in a lot of different leagues go bankrupt because they go out and they buy 7 cars and 3 houses and on and on and on. All the stuff that's materialistic that they don't need, where they should take it and learn how, because they've likely never been taught. My parents never taught me how to really utilize a bank account. You know, you learn how to maybe write a check, which nobody does anymore. Well, you know, Myles and I still have a checking account that we write checks out of, because, you know, sometimes you need paper trails. But that's not how things are done. But that's you know, what this MFL is about. It's about the development of the person who happens to maybe be a player, a former player. Maybe they never got a chance. I mean, again, talking about the NFL. And what do you hear about? You know, the Fritz Pollard Alliance is always up in arms every year, because while the Rooney Rule is in place, and yes, there are some minority candidates that do get interviewed for head coaching jobs, doesn't mean you have to hire them. And it's really, and I don't like to use the word tokenism, if you will, because that always, you know, is a you know, kind of a bad word for a lot of people. But that's pretty much, you know, what it is. It's just, I'm giving you here, you know, here's the opportunity. You know, you sit down, you talk to people. Okay, you're done. You've done your due diligence. You didn't hire anybody. You didn't move the needle. You didn't do anything for the advancement. And that's what the MFL also represents. I know a number of former players that wanted to always get into coaching and never could, because the opportunity wasn't there. There wasn't a proving ground for them to do it. They're fantastic minds. There's some guys that a lot of guys I know that played in the NFL that are, you know, either wasted away doing a different business, or, you know, later in life finally said, I got a chance to go coach at the college level or what have you. It's not the college level is not the professional level. It's, you know, independent. And I commend you, Dr. Hobson, on what you're talking about, going to the right school. Not everybody thinks maybe they need to go to an Alabama and those kind of things. And I tell both the student athletes and their parents, when they ask me, like, you need to go to be seen. You need to get your reps in. It doesn't matter where you go. It's, you know, it's better to be the third stringer sitting on the bench for all 4 years at Alabama, or is it better to be the starter at Coastal Carolina, a smaller program that for years and years people didn't hear about? The only reason I knew about it in the last decade was because my nephew went there. I found it in Myrtle Beach. I said to my brother, "What, you're sending your kid to spring break? What are you doing?" And, you know, that's the kind of, you know, the unknown. So all these unknowns, you know, like the MFL you know, come to the surface. But that's what it's about. It's about developing yourself as a player when you go to participate at a college level, whatever that is, even if it's D2 or junior college. I mean, a lot of guys come out of junior college, but in the NCAA and in the NFL, it's about the players' on-field athleticism and ability. It's not about anything else as far as that person. Yeah, character does matter, but at the same token, it's more about can you get the productivity up on the team to make dollars for whatever said program it is.
Well, can you imagine her keep Dr. Hopkins with us up there on Capitol Hill when we went? You think I'm fiery? Well, she's fiery. I mean, I did not agree with the athletes getting paid, but I came up with another solution. I think money should be put in some type of escrow form, so when they do finish school and they get out, then they have a little head start. But to pay them, not a good idea, because now you open up Pandora box. And what I mean by that, if you're a starter and I'm a backup, you know, on the team, when I'm getting the same thing, you're gonna have a problem with that. You know what I mean?
It's splinters that bring them together. Yeah,
you have to be very careful. It's like a double-edged sword with that. And but I was happy that they invited the MFL on Capitol Hill to be in that discussion. Also, I'd like to keep things in perspective. We are the laboratory of change. We want to bring former players from the field to the front office. We want players to understand beyond the field. So what happens when you can't play this game no more? And as you know, Keith, you know, I played in the league, and I tell people in a minute, you know, hey, those contracts don't come with any instructions. They really don't. You know what I mean? And if you're not used to anything, and then you're gonna go buy the silly stuff that really doesn't matter to you, but until, you know, as long as you have it, but you know, long terms. And that's where a lot of guys mess up at. And that's what the MFL here. And as you stated earlier, yes, there's a lot of coaches in college did not get that opportunity to coach because of that glass ceiling. The MFL, we removed the glass ceiling. The playing field is level for interns, as we spoke briefly, Doctor, over there. You know, We want these young people that's in broadcast journalism, sports management, marketing, PR, all these things that you want to, you're a part of, you're in school for. Come to the NFL. We're going to give you that training. Of course, we know broadcast journalists for African American. I mean, unless you're a former player, you know what I mean? And they terrible, Keith. And then, but for the African American women, I mean, come on, it's not level. We know it, and everybody else know it. But here, these young people can get your reel together. You out there actually covering stuff. You know what I mean, Dr. Hobson? You covering stuff. So we want these young people to understand that the MFL is here, and we ain't going nowhere. So every time they throw stuff up against us, as you know, Keith, and I told them about the Lions League, they made a big deal. In the meeting with the NFL, I told them, I said, give it a month. Oh, I'm telling you, Dr. Myles, it's going to be. I said, okay. XFL come back. You know how they went crazy here when Washington got a team. I said, give it a month. The best thing that happened to the XFL was, and I hate to use this, but COVID-19, because a lot of people lost their lives, even family members of mine. But that was the way for them to slip out the door on that, because it was all wrong, and concept. And as you know, Doc, I mean, concepts will make you successful, because money can't do it all the time, because people with money don't have a concept, and people with a concept don't have money. What happened to people with the money buys a concept? And that's one thing the MFL will not be. I'm thinking about generational wealth. That's what the MFL offers. Not only are we going to give you an opportunity to be a GM, you never get that opportunity nowhere else, to be a head coach. Excuse me. These are the type of things that the MFL is doing, and we tell everybody, come experience the MFL. All we want you to come experience it. We don't want you to just come experience it. I use it jokingly with my staff all the time, and I tell them, we be joking all the time, and I say, this is the greatest show on earth, and it's going to cost them 50 cents to see it, Keith. Not $100, not $300, it's 50 cents to see it. And I'm not dating myself, but you might know about this, Doc. The old record by the Stylistic, the sideshow. You remember that?
Yeah.
That before the show begins.
She does it.
Only cost you 50 cents to see it.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. So we want these young men, we want to give you opportunity. We got some of the youngest GMs, you know that. We have a lot of people that did not get that opportunity, and the MFL giving it to them. And money is not the answer. Our ego is our biggest problem, Doc. You know it, Keith. Our ego is our biggest problem. Mm-hmm. So we ain't beating up on nobody. You should have left the XFL alone. Now you talking about if it was easy, everybody be doing this. And people with money find out XFL had plenty of money, but you throwing that money out and then getting them back. That's not a good look. You cannot pay for television. And I say all the time, Doc, thank God for social media. Thank God for it. The NFL did not need not one person in that stand. They still got paid, didn't they? Because they had the TV game. See, everybody try to come in, Doc, and they want to be like those guys. We who we are. We not trying to be nobody but who we are. I talk about that all the time, right, Keith? This is who we are. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna deceive players. And I had players that call me even this week. So how much y'all paying? I say no mind. He said, excuse me. I said no mind. Like, I'm not gonna lie to a player. Doc, the worst thing you could do is lie to an athlete. Just be honest. I'll tell them in a minute, we can't afford to pay you. NFL owners are billionaires. They got one franchise. I'm responsible for 32. Then you tell me how can I pay you anything? But what I can do is I have $1 million worth of insurance on the player. I can take it to traveling, the hotel, provide the uniform. I'm going to put you on the stage that you will not get outside of college or professional football. We're going to put you on that stage. Mm-hmm. I can't afford that. And one thing about me, as you know, Keith, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm the type of person, Doc, if I can do it, I can do it. If I can't, I can't do it. You should respect the fact that I'm honest. Yeah. I'm honest. And I'm a firm believer. I'm like that. Don't tell me you can do something you can't. Or I can fly. Okay, no problem. But when it comes time for you to fly and you can't, then we got a problem because you said it, not me. And you know, we have a lot of former professional players here. We have people in big time corporations here, Doc, but we all blend together and we do such a great job. But more importantly is we provide the opportunity in these communities. You know, we're talking about economic development, jobs where there was no jobs. You know, we tell everybody, you know, we doing our players, our dance team doing 100 hours of community service. We want to enhance what the community doing. We're not taking nothing from them. We want to pay to use this stadium. Okay? We want to pay. We didn't ask you to give it to us. But you're going to need people to do concession and stuff, those jobs right now. You know, we go to a bus company, we ask you to sponsor us. Why? We got to go on the road for 5 days. We got to pay you to use your bus. Aren't you making money off us? We go to a hotel. We ask for sponsorship. Why should I sponsor you? We got 5 teams coming in here. We got to pay you for them rooms, right? We got to pay for that food. So everybody's making money. That's economic development. And these young people go to that over league for internship. You don't get paid no money. Stop it. You don't get paid no money. But here, you can actually get the opportunity to be on camera. You know, you want to understand about sports management. Okay, this is where you learn it here, because there's athletes here that might need you. Then we're gonna say, well, this who work with the organization. This who you should. Just like people, I always tell people. You remember when we was young? You know, we ain't talking about you, Doc, because you're an older guy. You don't have no experience. Well, how am I gonna get some experience if you don't give me an opportunity? You know what I mean? And, you know, the Rooney Rule, we talk about all the time. Stop it. You know, but I blame former athletes because you could buy a franchise right here. We will pay you to be a GM. But see, ego get in our way. Why is it that long? Why is it?
I don't know. I think that, you know, a lot of times when you talk about even like the relationship or the respect for people and people actually doing what they say they're going to do, I think that a lot of the ego comes from disappointment. You know, people are walking around with their guard, you know, they don't, you know, it's not believable. They don't believe that, you know, it's true. And so we start overthinking, you know, a lot of situations. And so I remember when, even when you talk about just what it has to offer, and I truly appreciate men like, you know, Mr. Jones, where, you know, they want to be a part of a change. And it's not just coming from a voice of just from our perspective, but just from other people seeing that there's a change that needs to be made and how they can contribute to something that's successful. And so just an example, you know, going into like when this was presented to me, you know, you have your doubts, you have your, oh man, you know, what is this? What, you know, what's the catch? What's the this? What's the that? And I remember talking to my dad and I said, well, you know, I think that something I'm going to do. And he said, well, just be careful, you know, and I said, and I understand that, but I feel like every situation you go in, you never know what what kind of situation you're going to go in. All you can do is hope for the best, and hope that the people that you're surrounding yourself you know, around have their best intentions or has, you know, your best interests. And so, you know, when you think about even the NFL, how many times can you call, you know, how many of those head coaches or people that are part of that organization can just pick the phone up and call the founder of the organization? You better set an appointment up and you better have something important to talk about, you know. So having that, you know, access to someone who is over, you know, the umbrella of the organization, and you can actually call the person and hear a live voice and ask, you know, questions. I think that makes a difference, and that helps to lower that ego, because, you know, this person is accessible and I can talk to them. You know, when I look at one thing that when I think about my journey, you know, when people talk about, wow, you have a doctorate, and oh, wow, you have this and you have that, it's all these wow moments. It's definitely a blessing. But I knew that if I was going to be taken serious at some point, you know, I'm going to have these letters. They help. You know, but I still, you know, I've been on so many interviews when it comes to collegiate level, you know, athletic director, and even becoming an athletic director on the high school level. You know, I thought that was going to be a no-brainer. They see it and say, hey, she's been a head coach, she's been coach of the year, she's got championships, she got this, she got that, she got the degrees. I mean, come on. And it's still like not enough. when you look at, even I told my dad the other day, I said, me being a young Black woman, a lot of times people don't know how old I am. I'll be 40 next year. So now they just see someone they think is 29, 25 years old. So sometimes I have to, reiterate, my 16 years of coaching experience or my 17 years, then they're like, well, 17 years, she can't be 20, So yeah, so I have to put it out there because some of us don't look our age and stuff like that. So I told my dad, I'm up against being looking young, looking very much like a woman, and having this education still only levels up. I'm at the same level as my counterparts, my Caucasian or whatever men who may come in with a bachelor's degree. We're almost at the same level. But he has football experience. He's had a successful football program. So, I get those kind of questions all the time when I'm on these interviews and well, how would you fire a football coach? Well, the same way I would fire a tennis coach or a cheerleading coach or, but my answer has always been the same. It's not about going in and firing people, but it's about letting people know your clear expectations from the beginning. And what your vision is for the program and where they're currently at and where you would like to see them. So when that opportunity comes that you have to say, hey, it's time for you to go, they have an understanding of what you expected and where they're at. It's just like in track, when people always want to run track, that was a great thing about track, is times don't lie. You can say, this is your time and this is their time. So this is why you're not on the 4x1. So, it's the same thing. So when we look at the NFL and we think about egos, I think it just comes from a lot of disappointments. People have said they're going to do things and not do it. And like you said, you may not get paid as a player, but what you will gain from this opportunity of being a part of this organization is priceless. Is more than money can give you. It's going to put you in places that maybe you won't make it to the next level of doing something, but you may get picked up by a college coach and realize that you still have 3 more years of eligibility left to go out. So you may not make it to the CFL or get a chance to go to the NFL or whatever else, but it doesn't mean you don't have a chance to play. And I think that'd be a great opportunity for us to have, we have some of those athletes that come out, we can say, hey, you still have 3 more years of eligibility. Let's see if we can get you onto a school and see if you can actually finish your education and still play, or hey, you have 2 more years. Now you can go finish your 2 years somewhere. You got a scholarship and now you can maybe come back and now you can go to a higher level, but you'll be able to put on your resume that you've been part of an organization that is about change. And so even when we looked at our vision for the program, we said, we want to make sure we're doing things in the community. You reap what you sow. You want support from your community, you go out in your community, you get your players out there where people can see that you want to be a part of the change in their community. So not only when they come and pay that money to pay for a ticket, they know that money is going back into their community, into something that's positive. And so I just think that's where the ego comes from. People have their mind set on what they think is supposed to be. And that's the blessing about having to be able to speak to the founder and say, can you do this? And if you say no, then you figure out how you want to get it, or you just don't have it. But I think that's, where the egos come from, because the image that the NFL presents is, you will have this luxury life. And everything here is gold, and this is where you want to be. But everybody doesn't get that opportunity. We know that 69% of the league is African American males, but only 2 minorities own the NFL. And they're not Black. They're South Korean and I think Pakistan or whatever. So it's like, all those really presenting opportunities, for who? They probably came in with a lot of money, or they know somebody, or it's a generational for them. I said, I wonder how much that woman from South Korea really know about football. She probably doesn't, but she probably has money somewhere circulating around within that organization. So I just think that's where the ego comes from, is us being too prideful to have to start from somewhere. And you don't always have to think about starting from the bottom. It's not from the bottom. You're just starting wherever you're at. And so if MFL helps to open up opportunities. We look at internships for the colleges. Here's your opportunity to, as an athletic trainer, to come out to an MFL game and, wrap somebody's ankle that has potential of being somebody. Maybe they're the next GM of their own franchise, or they're the next whatever. But you can always say, I remember that person playing and I wrapped his ankles, or I gave him an ice pack, or or even having high school teams come out, local high school bands come out and perform halftime on your field of the MFL. You just presenting opportunity after opportunity after opportunities for these people in the community, and then for us, to see where this can possibly go and how big it can be if we just think about what we have to contribute to the organization more than what the organization is given to us. What can I do to give to the organization to make it what I want it to be? Because maybe it's not everything I want it to be. So it could be all these kind of ideas that I have, and that Keith may have, that we come together and say, well, have you ever thought about doing this? And then Dr. Myles might say, you know what, I haven't. Maybe we'll think about doing that next year, but just everybody contributing to the change, because it can't be just one person. We can't all just go get paid and then, and that's it, because now we're continuing the cycle of using the athletes, using the coaches up. They're tired, they drained out, they're burnt out, and nobody's having fun because nobody's getting paid, nobody's advancing, and you just out there ruining lives basically, because you have athletes out there who want an opportunity and they have a reason why they're out there. And so I think it's just great being a part of, meeting men like, Dr. Myles and also Mr. Jones, where that even if we have a difference of opinion or perspective, we have one purpose and we have one vision, and that's change. And so I just think that's, when we can put our egos to a side and allow ourselves to have a clear mind, we all can be open to growing, as individuals and also as an organization. So I would say that was the reason behind the whole ego. What do you think, Mr. Jones?
Myles, where did you find her?
You know what I started to say? Hey, she almost a carbon copy of me, and some of the things that, well, I'm about people. And what you said, Doc, was true, because people's opinion of you don't have to be your reality, and I'm living proof of that. Also, what some things that you said were very significant, because I was doing stuff so way ahead of my time. I came up with programs, No Thugs, No Drugs, Early Youth Offender Program, Conflict Resolution. These are programs were funded by the state of Maryland that I was implementing in school. And I was like, well, wow, this guy, we want the athletes to understand it's not just you're not good enough to play in the NFL, it's not enough room. And that's what I'll tell you. And those three letters will tell you, not for long. That's for. And just to tag on to what you were saying about, I want everything you got, Doc. And I tell people all the time, if you're the smartest person in your organization, you got a problem. It's as simple as that. You can't be the smartest person in your organization. And I tell people all the time, I don't have all the answers, but I can find a solution to whatever problem we have. That's why I bring people like yourself, Doc, keep like-minded people that I have with me. They're sharp. Y'all just make me look good. And I don't keep telling you, I'll take the credit. I tell you, I got some sharp people with me, because and thank God for y'all. We do have so he made it. I'm going to bring on Mr. Tate. Mr. Tate join us, and I appreciate it. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, Mr. Can you hear me, Mr. Myles?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
You can?
Yes. We
Okay.
can hear you loud and clear. Of course,
you better not say nothing crazy on the mic, because we hear you. It's live. You had all those. We hear you.
He's your problem solver before the problem even arises. See that?
Yeah.
It's an open mic.
To y'all, well, Keith, Mr. Tate and Dr. Hopkins, but also I want to let him get in, because he was tied out, and he really made, and I appreciate all y'all for making these changes, because I did change my time, because I generally do the show at 5, but since I'm doing the interview, but Mr. Tate, he's a part of an organization called a Watkins Award, Doc, and I want to just give you a brief synopsis of what they do, because Doc, Hopkins, Mr. Tate. She'll be joining us with the Philadelphia Saints up there. But just give them a little synopsis, her synopsis of what you doing, because she's tight. She really is. We can say that, huh, Keith? But go ahead and introduce yourself, Mr. Tate, and tell a little bit about you and the Watkins Award, because this guy this is unreal.
Well, certainly, I appreciate it, ladies and gentlemen, and I want to even start by saying I want both Mr. Jones and Dr. Hopkins to come to the Watkins Award down in Washington, D.C. We'll be having it the next one will be in 2022. For obvious reasons, we didn't have it in 2021, but it'll be 2022. But the Watkins Award is an award that came from the National Alliance of African American Athletes. It was founded in Pennsylvania, and it was a community guy, and his name, ironically and appropriately, is Franklin D. Watkins. That's what the award was named after him. Nonetheless, the organization created the award to recognize the top African American student, scholar, athlete. The requirement is that you must be a senior. You must be, of course, a high school senior, an African American, and the three last and major requirements is that you must have a GPA of a minimum of a 3.0, and you must be a 4 or 5-star athlete. This can't be, a lot of times people just can't accomplish this. Nonetheless, we've had over 149 individuals to come through the program in 31 years now. And I just want to say I've been honored because a lot of the kids, they are selected from all over the country. The three major sports is football, baseball, and basketball. However, we've talked about, will we accept a kid that plays golf, that plays, that's on the track team, that swims, that plays lacrosse? And I don't think we would turn down an athlete if he, and I'm sorry, Doc, that we haven't included women yet, but that's coming.
That's okay.
It's coming. But if he is at the top of his sport, that's the key. Because if you're a 4 or 5-star athlete, then you're at the top of your sport. So you can't just say that I'm a golfer and I'm the top golfer in my county, in my city, or in my state. You have to be the top golfer in the United States. You have to be at least in the top 5. So let me just go through quick. We had a gentleman that came through the program from Callaway, New Jersey. He was a 5-star athlete, graduated with I think mine had a 4.5 when he came out of the Hun school. It's a private school up there. And kids come out of private schools and public schools, but nonetheless, he went down Florida State, started as a freshman. He finished pre-med in 2.5 years, got his master's in 8 months, went to Oxford, got another master's degree, came back, played in the NFL for 3 years. Now that's another story because the NFL didn't like the idea that he was a student and he was also an athlete. So they made him choose. They say, hey, you got to make a choice. And he said, hey, I thought that this would be a great time for people to know that, not all football players are just jocks. They are also students. They can be whatever they want to be. Well, they say you're going to have to make a choice. So he took the guaranteed contract. He left and went back to medical school. And now he's a neurosurgeon up at Massachusetts General. We had another young man. I haven't heard nobody to pull this off. I like to joke about it, that there haven't been no Asians, no Caucasians, no Portuguese, you name it. It hasn't been anyone that I know of. But this young man, he graduated with a 5.1. In order to do that, That means you got to take all AP classes and get all A's. That means he took the chemistry classes, he took the physics classes, all the math classes, got all A's. He was a 5-star athlete, went to the University of Georgia, and he started his last 2 years down there. Just a phenomenal kid. I mean, just phenomenal kid. And then we've had many others. There's 18 of them as of last season. You know what? And Mr. Myles, or Dr. Myles, I apologize. Dr. Myles, he makes light of it all the time that the NFL stands for not for long. So, you know, clearly we got as of last season, we had 18 guys that were in the NFL, because not all these guys make the NFL. The kid that I just spoke of with the 5.1. I mean, clearly he went down to Jacksonville. They cut him. He called me. He was so excited. I said, man, why are you so excited? He said, because coach, it's just what you said it is. It was an opportunity for me to get a free education. I didn't want to play football anyway. I just needed somebody to tell me I couldn't play no more. So he's in corporate America. I'm gonna give a free plug to Chick-fil-A. He's a senior vice president at Chick-fil-A now. I mean, just a great kid. But you know, we have kids that go to all the major schools. I think it's 4 of them that's at Stanford now. We've had a dozen to graduate from Stanford, a dozen to graduate from Duke, a couple of them to graduate from Vanderbilt. So all the major schools,
yeah,
they go all the major schools. So the Watkins Award, every year we have a dinner, and as I mentioned, the 2 of you are invited. You sit at Mr. Myles' table, or you come and sit at my table. I don't care. Just come. Just come, have a great time to celebrate. At that time, we get a lot of the alumni that come in, and I just stop with this, the beauty of all this. I mean, look, I just love the world, but you know, I hate when the world is not willing to accept the obvious. I mean, it's just not willing to accept the obvious that the MFL is here to stay. I mean, that's the obvious that Dr. Myles had put so much work into this. It's the obvious. So the obvious is that when you come into this room, there are very few people have ever been in a room with a minimum of 15. Now, normally we get about 20 of the alumni from years to come back, but 15 bona fide scholar athletes. Everyone, 100% of these guys have graduated. 100%. Now, of course, we got guys that are in college right now, but over the past 31 years, 100%. There've been a couple of them that finished their athletic eligibility and went into the system as far as the NFL, had not finished, but they didn't want to be classified as the only person that didn't graduate. They came back and got their degrees. So 100%, 50% of them, 50% over the past 31 years, 50% of them graduate with not 1, but 2 degrees. Last week, a couple of weeks ago, I had a kid that was on. He went down to Clemson. He was All-American, graduated. I think he had a 4.3 when he came out. But he went to Clemson, played at Clemson when they won the national championship, had almost a life-ending situation, was in a car accident, broke his neck. Doctors, I went down to see him in the hospital when he got out of the operating room. The doctor said he'll never walk out of here again. I mean, his neck broke. He in this, they got these contraptions now. They had his neck in, and man, it was a scary moment for me, let alone for anyone else that saw what I saw. But to make a long story short, he came out of there. He walked out of the hospital. He walked out of the hospital, and the doctors cleared him a year later to be able to play football. So by the time he graduated from Clemson, he had 2 degrees, but he still had another year eligibility, and he went to Boston College, played on the football team, and got another master's. So by the time he finished his athletic career, the more the story is, man had 2 master's degree and 1 bachelor's degree. Most people can't even get a bachelor's degree within 8 years, 10 years, don't even get it. He comes out with 3 degrees, and he was an academic All-American at both schools. So, hey, I look forward to you becoming a part of the Watkins Award. And Watkins is a part of the MFL because, as we say all the time, everybody's not going to make it in the NFL. And a lot of people don't realize that when you play sports, I'm using football. We've had a couple of guys that come through that went into the NBA. We've had one guy that went and played Major League Baseball. But the point is, when you play sports at this level, you go through your eligibility. And once your eligibility is used up and you can't play football any longer, some of these kids have played football. Like one of the guys who was on my show last Monday, or this past Monday, he played for the Falcons. He's from Texas. He's been playing football ever since he was 4 years old. So all of a sudden, you take that career away from him, and he ain't got enough. Now, he did play 8 years in the NFL, but I'm talking about the guy that comes through college. The mind is a terrible thing to waste, they say. Yeah. So they don't know what they're going to do. The MFL gives them that opportunity that they can come in here and not just play. They don't have to play football. Because these guys with the alliance, they understand, hey, I don't really want to play football any longer. If somebody gives me an opportunity, maybe I'll take it. But they understand it was a business. So they went and got a degree. They can come to the MFL and have an opportunity to play, not only to play, but they can come in and play a role in a position that allows them to be an administrator or even a team owner. So you all will have access to these great minds of these young men who can help you. They can come to Philadelphia. They come wherever you want. And we got guys that live up there in Pennsylvania that will be more than happy to come in here and help us out.
And I want to make sure, Doc, you get Mr. Tate information and stuff. Okay. I want you to see that other component of the NFL. These guys are scholars. Nobody. I dreamt of a 4.0. I used to dream of that. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna be honest. I'm a dream of that. Keith, I'm not gonna even, we're not gonna get into that. But more importantly, the Watkins Award is so great. I've been a part of it for now a while now. What, about 4 or 5 years? I'm there. I'm a supporter of it. And one thing about him, Mr. Tate, that one of the kids that won it last year from Ohio State played linebacker. And, Kelsey interviewed him and stuff. But I'm definitely want y'all to come there because I want you to see that other component of what the NFL is doing. See, these are not just, as you stated earlier, I don't believe in that just shut up and play football. These guys are scholars, man. These guys can do other things. But, they're here to enhance what the MFL is doing. And I know I got like 6 more minutes. Let Keith get in on this. Keith?
Thanks. I was enjoying it. Miles, we just call him Miles Coach because it's just easier that way. Doctor or Mr. or Senior, or he's got a lot of moving parts, but the guy knows what he's doing. He gets people like Dr. Hobson to understand the mission and what's going on, and it's an easy buy-in, as I know it was for you. I commend you on. Thank you first of all. Thank you for the invitation. Definitely, we'll be there in 2022. Washington D.C. is my hometown, so I always love him.
Mr. Tate from here too.
I knew that. But he brought up a couple of really good points, and I think that while the saying is "shut up and play whatever sport it is," it's because the guys that are at the top level that make all these millions of dollars, while they may give the impression and try to do visuals of what they're actually doing in the community, you don't see as much, in the community versus the people that come up who don't get to that highest level, but are looking for the next opportunity and want to be involved with whatever game it is they're playing. And Coach Tate was talking about this young man that didn't know what to do after playing football since he was 4 years old. I've talked to Hall of Fame players, including Sam Huff, who were totally lost. I mean, Sam played; he was an All-American in college, and he's a Hall of Famer in the NFL. And these guys, when they get up every day with a mission, and then all of a sudden it's not there, they are just totally lost. And some of them go into corporate America. A lot of them want to stay involved with the game that they love, whether it be basketball, football, or what have you. In this case, football. And I think that's where it's a game changer from my standpoint. I mean, you hear the laboratory change and different monikers that Myles uses, but it really, the MFL is unlike any entity that I've ever been around, because it's really like parts of corporate America where you have these opportunities and you can develop, but it's not like corporate America because it gives more opportunities no matter who you are. It doesn't matter. It's the person that you want to get into that position, no matter what. As long as they're qualified, or as long as they have the qualifications to be able to get into that, whatever it is, that's what the MFL does. So whether it's coaching or administrating or what have you, so that young man who was lost after he couldn't play football anymore in the MFL, he would have a new mission, a new goal, because he could be general manager, or it could be assistant general manager, it could be a lot of different things, getting that experience that people can't get elsewhere. So that's kind of where that's at, Coach. But it's great that you're involved with the league, because I know Myles thinks very highly of you, and you bring a lot to the table.
Doc, give me a minute. Now you feel right at home now, huh, Doc?
Absolutely. I mean, Coach Tate, just congratulations on all your endeavors. And I do look forward to just being there and seeing your works and what you do. When people always ask me, why are you so passionate about young men? I always remind them, we all have a purpose and a why to what we're doing. And, I lost my brother at 27 because his identity got taken away, when football was gone, and so it became something I was, passionate about, to something now that I knew was part of my purpose. So every time I see a young man walk across that stage, or every opportunity that I see a young man doing something positive, I remind him of how great he is. And I remind him of, you control your destiny. You're the author of your story. And so I think that being a part of this organization and being with people like Coach Tate and Mr. Jones and Dr. Myles, will help to impact our youth, in particular our minorities and young men, just on a bigger scale. So not just having them, letting them know that, you may not make it to the league, but you have something that no one can ever take away from you, and that's your mind and your voice. And so I just, I'm just excited about being a part of this organization and working under the umbrella of Dr. Myles and just working along with Mr. Jones and Coach Tate. So it's just definitely something. It's a breath of fresh air to know that I'm working along with people that have the same vision and one purpose. And so that is definitely a blessing. And I can't wait to continue to contribute to the organization and see what opportunities that I'm presented with, and also the relationships that I will gain from this experience. Those type of things are priceless.
Mr. Tate, we got a half a minute. We're going to wrap it up. Let me get you in here. I appreciate so much, Mr. Tate, that you took time to come on here. And Mr. Tate, hey, I don't have enough words when me and you get to talking, Mr. Tate. We talk all the time, and the walking the ward is really big. But I want to thank you, Mr. Tate. Definitely you, Keith. Doc, I want to thank y'all for being a part. We want y'all on the show all the time, because you always be on with different GM coaches, and Doc, because y'all know that. But I'm gonna wrap this up, and I want to thank y'all for coming on. This has been another edition of Inside the MFL. I'm your host, Dr. Richard D. Myles. You can look for us on our website, mflishere.com. We'll see you on Friday. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you, Myles.